Evaluation of materials. Evaluation of any aspect of the teaching learning process is complex, and evaluation of teaching materials no less so. When we evaluate different aspects of teaching and learning process, it becomes important to make explicit the criteria used in our judgment and to be principled in our evaluation. The complication arises in the specification of criteria for evaluation, since the criteria chosen always reflect some belief about language learning and teaching and therefore will determine the results to some extent. Reed, Dickens, and Germain give basic questions to be addressed before starting an evaluation and learning materials. What do materials mean for you? Do you refer exclusively to textbook, or do you include teacher guides, readers, audios, and so on? Do you include materials produced by the teachers and the learners? Macro and micro evaluation. Reed, Dickens, and Germain says the evaluation of materials might concentrate on a small set of tasks. Ellis takes this point further and distinguishes between macro-evaluation of all programs and projects and micro-evaluation, a narrow focus on some specific aspect of the curriculum or administration of a program. Ellis argued a case for the importance of microevaluation in the face of what he says has been an emphasis on macroevaluation in recent years. He argues that microevaluation at the level of task or activity responds to the level of evaluation that a teacher is most likely to do. Phases in evaluation. Criticisms of the checklist approach. Reed, Dickens, and Germain identify three phases in the evaluation of materials. Materials as work plan, materials in process, outcomes from materials. They make a distinction between the theoretical value and empirical value of materials, but they concentrate on the materials as work plan, where materials are evaluated with a reference to their use in the classroom by offering checklists, but they needed to adapt this function on other levels. Ellis also comments on the theme and identified before program evaluation of materials motivated by the need to choose or adapt materials. He gave an example of these two levels: external evaluation that include the cover, the table, and contents, and internal evaluation 2 or more units according to some criteria. Ellis said that the goal of these textbook survey guides is to provide a systematic and principled approach to materials evaluation. Although the guides may be of practical use to teachers, they raise many questions relating to such issues as what aspect of the material should be considered, and especially how one aspect should be weighted in relation to another. Wright uses three quotes to demonstrate difference in understanding about the role and proper content of language teaching materials. Learning activities won't be of much help to the learners of English unless they present and practice English on a systematic and comprehensive way so that new language items can be assimilated by the learner. It has been customary to base language teaching materials on a previously decided list of items, whether language-based or skill-based. And materials should have twin aims. One, that they offer information on the data about the language being studied, and at the same time, materials have a role to promote learning and language learning in particular. Who evaluates? No materials can be evaluated without being used first. Some of the materials can be trialed with a group, and secondary learners can be involved in evaluation. Brin and Conley offer a list of questions that they can give feedback about material. The list could evaluate the materials and give different perspectives of them. Proposal for evaluation of materials as work plan. Littlejohn offered a framework for evaluating material on paper, which aims to avoid some of the problems of the closed checklist. Little John aims to provide a framework that separates assumptions about what is desirable from analysis of the materials that helps teacher analysis to look closely into materials before coming to their own conclusion about the desirability or the otherwise of the materials. In his materials, he considered 3 questions about materials. What aspect of materials should we examine? He separates aspects of materials into publication and designs that together give comprehensive coverage of the methodological and content aspect of any set of materials. How can we examine the materials? He suggests using different levels of analysis. How can we relate the findings to our own teaching context? Emphasizing the analysis of materials with an analysis of context to identify the appropriacy of the materials. Proposal for evaluation of materials. Materials in process. Ellis emphasized that micro-evaluation of a specific task may be the way to encourage teachers to engage in the systematic evaluation of tasks. His proposal for material evaluation is for a micro-evaluation rather than a macro-evaluation and for an evaluation of materials in use and after use rather than before use. He examines dimensions of evaluation in order to decide what type of evaluation to use. Such an approach to the empirical validation of teaching materials may prove more manageable and therefore less daunting to teachers. My proposal of evaluation of materials is that the materials must be designed according to the specific learning objectives and according to the curriculum of the subject or subjects to be impacted. These specific features should be considered: that the content has up-to-date materials and accurate information, that the didactic design of the materials involves the objectives, goals, and learning strategies, that they should be consistent with the analytical program, and that it has a technician in which the support material is appropriate to achieve the objectives set in each unit and technically correct. Thank you.